Welcome back to another episode of Talk About It Tuesday. I'm here today with James Marino.
What's up? How you guys doing?
Professional dancer, instructor, and choreographer. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. For those of you who don't know you, just talk about yourself a little bit.
I have a pretty crazy story. I grew up in East Hartford, Connecticut.
Okay.
My dad was an immigrant. He came over here from Sicily.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I was born, I was really born into the soccer culture. I played soccer my entire life.
Oh, wow.
I actually trained youth professional when I was 17 years old in Italy.
Great.
So I played with a team called AC Perugia. I went to university, went to Fairfield University, played D1 there. Going to Europe and then coming back home, it was like a step backwards. And so mentally it kind of messed me up, and it didn't mess up my work ethic, but it made me rethink my journey and my path. And so when I went to college, basically, to long story short, me and the coach pretty much had it out.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah.
I quit soccer. That whole semester at school, I was depressed. And for some reason, I would just put music in when I was in my dorm room, and I would just start to freestyle. I was freestyling outside of the athletic hall. They had these windows, and I could see my reflection. So I stopped one time and just started, dancing in front of the mirror. And this girl walked by. She goes, "You danced?" I was like, "Nope." She was like, "I clearly just saw you." And I looked at her, I was like, "Yeah, but not really." She's like, "Here," she handed me a flyer. She's like, "This is the dance ensemble. Come audition for it." And I was like, "Nah, I'm not doing that. I don't do that."
Oh my god, that literally sounds like the beginning of Step Up.
But literally, I looked at the flyer, remember I put it down in my dorm room, and I was doing homework, and I looked to my left and it was there. And I was like, you know what? Just go.
Yeah.
Just see what happens. I'm not doing anything else. I went to the audition, did my thing, and I made the team. So that was the first time I ever learned about really in-depth formation changes and counting music more in depth, and just everything about taking class and learning what it's to be performing with the team. So I started finding my love for music and dance again. I was always around it. My mom and sister danced, but I only danced maybe one time a week for 45 minutes. I took my first class when I was 20. So the first time I ever, I did show choir. I always loved music, so I did show choir in high school.
Like the performance part of it.
Yeah, I always loved performing and listening to music, but besides a nice little, jazz square and some jazz hands, I didn't really have a lot of training. My dad, he looked at me and he was like, "Are you crazy? You're gonna dance? You have possibilities of playing soccer at a high level and signing multi-million-dollar contracts with your potential of how good you can get and where you can go, or you're gonna start dancing and you're gonna be a starving artist."
Yeah.
So I just was like, you know what? If I'm gonna commit to this, I'm gonna do it. My aunt told me, "Hey, you wanna dance? You wanna do this for real? Go to New York City." Told me, "Broadway Dance Center, go there." Literally, I stayed there for 2 years, and I was dancing 12 to 15 hours a day. Even though I wasn't a ballet and jazz dancer, I was in BDC, basketball shorts, at the bar, pulled up, trying to figure out what was going on. And I took it because I understood that even though I wanted to be a commercial dancer, and I knew my goals were dancing with, Justin, Chris, Usher, whoever else I would get to dance for, those are my major goals, but I knew I needed to know all of the basics.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have basics, you're never going to really understand the advanced stuff.
I think for me, when you talk about, training for 12 to 15 hours, I think immediately financially.
I would budget everything. So I refereed soccer games and I worked 2 other jobs. I worked at a restaurant, I worked at Home Depot actually.
I was lucky enough, I went to Millennium. I did the work study program, which is an incredible program where you work in exchange for free classes, which I think BDC
I did that
also
BDC.
has.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So,
that's why you did that.
yeah. So I would take 2 to 3 classes a day because it was expensive. In New York, it's the most expensive class.
Right.
Now it's like $20 a class. BDC gets together, anyways. But taking class, I at least was introduced to the idea of how it worked. And then I would do more than that. I would be around the scene. Being in the culture of street dancing is very important for commercial dancing, I think. And now, even though I'm not around as much, I have that basis in New York. We were going out to the club all the time and just dancing at the house clubs. And I would be there till 6 o'clock in the morning. Sorry, Mom, but you didn't know that till now. But I was up until, out all the time.
Right.
Just being around it. I would see somebody do something and I was like, "Oh, how are you doing that?"
Yeah.
And I would just stand next to them and practice it in the club. with no talking, no teaching, no breaking down,
Right.
just trying to figure it out in my own body.
Yeah.
So I think that people, when they're trying to figure, oh, what do I do? Nobody knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
Let's break it down.
Yeah.
Very few people know what they're doing. We're just making it up as we go.
All right, so we want to know what a typical day in the life of James Marino looks like.
There is no typical. We're gonna start with that. Every day is different. I feel like I like a routine. It's hard to stay in a routine because I travel so much, and I love that aspect. So I used to be very free, and when I was 20, 21, it's just I wake up and I just see where the day takes me. I had the discipline to know I was gonna train and go to the gym and do everything I need to get done. But then whatever else of my time, I would just figure it out that day. I want to go to the movies, I go to the movies. I want to go to the park, I go to the park. But honestly, most of my day is focused around self-improvement. So even now, right, I try to get into some rituals and habits, and I wake up and I meditate in the morning. I also have gotten into Pilates recently. I have a personal trainer, his name's Aaron Porter. He's amazing. He's not just a Pilates teacher, he used to be a dancer.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why he understands what I do so well, and he has fixed so many injuries in my body that I thought were going to be there for life. My body is what I do. I use it every single day, so I take care of it as much as possible. If I don't do Pilates, I go to the park and I do at least an hour of yoga. And then after I finish yoga in the park, I'll sit there and I'll read a chapter or two of the book that I'm reading for the week or for the month.
Which is?
So currently I'm reading a book called The Power of One. It's the potential for the imagination. It's teaching me how to look at life in a different perspective, and that's what I enjoy about reading the most. And so I make sure I read every day. But then I work on whatever I need to work on, whether it's choreographing, whether it's teaching a class, whether it's working on editing, and I wake up every single day and I just think about getting a little better. Because I'm not going to kill it. Like every day you're not going to kill. Not every day you're going to be on a tour. Not every day you're going to be on a movie set. You might have those days, but it's all the little days.
So, who taught you all this?
My biggest mentors in the dance world, my number one mentor, who taught me the most before I even met him, was Eddie Morales. He started sharing all this dance knowledge that literally I could have not gotten from anybody else.
Yeah.
Because his resume and experience of all the stuff he did, and the story of how I met him is insane. So pretty much, I did Motivating Excellence with Rhapsody James.
Yeah.
And so we spent 3 months, she trained us in a basement. And like, when I tell you this was the best part of my dance career, because it taught me everything about the struggle.
Yeah.
And it was even harder for me because everybody else lived in New York City.
Yeah.
I was commuting 3 hours one way each day. So like, if I didn't have a place to sleep, like eventually I met a lot of friends. My good friend Bobina Edwards from New York, he's a manager at BDC now. He would let me stay every now and then. Like a Wednesday and Thursday, I would stay over like 2 nights in a row, so that I would have to go back and forth every single night. But we had rehearsal Monday through Friday. So I was literally doing that. I was waking up in the morning 5 o'clock, taking a 3-hour bus ride to the city, training from 9 to 2, coming back, getting home by 5:30, 6, and then teaching class at night from 7 to 10 at my local studio. And then at the same time, I was still finishing my online classes for college, my last semester. So
what were you majoring in?
Accounting. So I have my degree in accounting.
Hashtag no excuses.
When I got with rap, she taught me so much about understanding the business. Like, dance business. Like, okay, this is how jobs work. This is how you get in. This is how you audition. This is how you act on a job. She introduced me to a lot of people who were, successful in the dance industry, choreographers and teachers. She gave me all the tools, and I met a lot of cool people there. So somebody who I actually worked with in the program, his name is Frankie Gordels. He lives in New York City now.
Oh, I know Frankie.
You know Frankie, yeah. Amazing dancer, amazing person, like really cool dude.
Yeah.
And I used to love watching him dance, man. Like, just amazing freestyle. And even choreography was just great.
Yeah.
We moved to LA, and then after about 6 months, I had, done my thing, and I was training and taking so many classes and meeting new people and trying to get in with, just trying to find my circle in LA.
Yeah.
Frankie called me and he said, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I was like, same thing every day, taking class, trying to figure it out. And he's like, "We have a job for you in New York. Can you fly back?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. You know what? I'm new, so let me work for I'm gonna fly myself. Even though like we could say, oh, they're big recording artists, they should be paying for us. Yeah, but if they're already looking for locals in New York and he's calling me because instead of having an audition in New York, I'm gonna take that risk and take the hit paying for a flight because that's an in for me.
Yeah.
Like a lot of new dancers have a problem with like, oh, I don't want to work for free. It's like going to college, right? You go to college your first year, if you do an internship, guess what? It's unpaid.
Yeah.
It's the same thing in dance. So like all this acting worth, yes, of course, when you're dancing with a major artist already, yeah, you should be getting paid more. But until then, it's like getting those unpaid internships and then you get a little paid one and then you get a little higher. You gotta work your way up the same way.
Yeah.
So when you called me, I flew to New York. I get in the room, I'm the first one. I showed up like an hour before rehearsal. And the rehearsal was like at 9 a.m. And I was like, got there off the plane like super early. I had my luggage, I didn't even go anywhere. I had to stay with a friend there. And Matt Tracy, which I'm super thankful as a high school friend. He was there working on Broadway stuff at the time. So I go into this rehearsal space and all the dancers are coming in. And then like I was getting fitted. You know, it was an NFL kickoff. It was the opening day for the NFL season. Mariah Carey was performing.
Yeah.
So that's who this job was for.
Yeah.
And I was excited about that. One of my mom's favorite artists is Mariah. So I was like, holy crap, yo, I did it. I booked my first major thing. That's not even what blew my mind. That, you know, you think that is the highest thing. And all of a sudden, I knew who it was. I never met him. But Eddie Morales walks in the door, and I'm sitting on the couch just like this, and I see that, I was just like,
He's the choreographer.
you know, he came in the room. I knew who he was from the Justin Timberlake tours that I used to go watch.
Yeah.
And I was like, this Porter can do with the braids, who can do everything. He used to be full out, and he used to do floor work in his freestyle. I was like, this guy is amazing.
Right.
And when I watched him once mark through the first number they were going on, I was like, yo. And it was him, Punch, Brian Tanaka, Miguel Robinson, like this cast. I was just like, and at the time, me and Denzel Chisholm were the two rookies on the job.
Yeah.
And so he was just as nervous as I was, but for me, I studied Eddie growing up. So I clicked with the style really fast, and I think Eddie noticed it. And so I went through that week, and we would have rehearsal for 8 hours. I would go home, and I would practice for another 4 hours because and it was on TV. So I was like, I'm going to kill this, no matter what, no matter how nervous I am, no matter what's going on. I'm dancing with these icons in the dance world. I'm gonna prove myself here.
Right.
This is my shot. The third day of rehearsal, Eddie pulls me aside. He goes, yo, where you from? He's got this Brooklyn accent, like coolest dude ever. I sit down, I was like, I'm from Hartford, Connecticut, talking to him. He's like, what are you doing next month? I was like, you know, this is my first dance job, so I'm unemployed all the time, so
Right.
I'm not doing much. He goes, you wanna come to China with us? And I was like, yeah. That's how I got into that world with him. He made me his assistant. So I went from studying that dude every single day when I used to watch dance videos. I would find every clip I could of him. And I think that's why we meshed so well, is because I danced exactly like him. With my own style, of course. Yeah, of course. So then when he made me his opposite, I remember Brian Tanaka came up to me and goes, bro, this is huge and you don't even know it. Oh, I knew it. I just couldn't say anything about it because I can't look like a fanboy, right? But at the same time, I was like, you know what? Like, I'm gonna earn my stripes here. And that was huge to like have that moment, because I think about that moment a lot when I'm going to other dance jobs, because I remember how excited I was.
Yeah.
And none of them are ever gonna feel like that again. But I always try to get myself there because it reminds me of why I started.
Yeah.
And that all these jobs now should be the same level of excitement for me.
And I think you can enjoy it a little bit more when
Absolutely.
you're not like so nervous and unprepared. Like the more you prepare yourself, the more you can enjoy it. And
Absolutely.
say, you know what? Like I know this.
Exactly.
I've done the work.
Effort, showing up on time, all that stuff doesn't go unnoticed.
Yeah.
And people that when you're working with millions of dollars, here's the thing people gotta realize. It's not Millennium Dance Complex or Playground where you can go and pay money and you take class. There's no pressure in there. The pressure that's in there is you putting it on yourself. If you want to be in a class video, you know? But it's very low pressure. So if you feel really pressured in there, you got another thing coming when you're on a movie set or you're on a tour and there's a lot of pressure because, okay, now there's $40 million hanging around us.
Yeah.
okay? And we have
Lots of
80,000,
changes.
yeah, exactly, everything. We have 80,000 people in front of us that are watching us live.
Yeah.
It has to be great or the show's not gonna go any further.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pressure on that. All of my mentors, people I really looked up to, really taught me all these things that helped me on the jobs and helped me stay hired. It's easier to get hired on a job and that's your last one. But if you make an impression, it's about getting another job from that. It's about the same camp wanting to hire you again. It's less to do with your dancing and it's more about how you are as a professional. Understanding the mentality that got me there, I think, is more impressive than actually getting there.
Completely.
The dance industry has changed a lot. Before there was a lot more auditions, right? Now it's less auditions. Your Instagram is so important. We have to be real now. You know, we're not gonna try to fight it. It is important, but you don't need to have 1 million followers. You just need to be talented. For example, if I'm choreographing something and you come to my class and I check your Instagram and you're killing it in these clips, I'm gonna hire you, even if you have 5 followers, because I know that many have the potential to grow.
Yeah.
Not everyone's looking for the most important, popular people. The world still works the same way. If you're a good person, you meet somebody, we can all reach that level of status, but together and just through literally wanting to be good at the thing itself. And it's a lot of things you will not learn through physical movement.
So are these things that you teach? I know you have your own camp or workshop
Yeah,
that
I do.
you've been doing. And
So I developed my own camp. Again, it's inspired by everyone else who does theirs because
Yeah.
I think that it's a great thing because people realize the value in just talking a little bit more deeply than just doing moves in class.
yeah.
And I do a 3-day program and I spend 5 to 6 hours a day with the students. We learn 1 or 2 combos. We do across the floor. We do just any technique that I'm going to work on, but at the same time I'm giving them all this knowledge sprinkled in between.
These are things that I think you need to learn one-on-one. You know, it's like you can take class, like you were saying, all day long, but that workshop environment where you get that one-on-one kind of attention and you're in a space with less students so you can really see yourself.
100%.
And yeah, I think it's really important. I know that you're into the financial side of it.
Me learning about how business actually works from a financial side taught me about how an individual needs to work from a financial side. It's not easy, right? And that's why a lot of people feel handicapped to something that they need to know about. And it's not because you can't understand it, it's because people don't take it serious. They think that they can't learn it. And there are people online, Instagram, YouTube, that will teach you about it for free or around you. Like there are people, I've even outreached myself and I've helped some individuals learn about just opening an IRA or a retirement fund. Most people my age or younger that start a job, they start their retirement fund immediately upon starting a job. Dancers don't do it, maybe never.
Right.
And so what I do is because I know that, I said to myself, okay, I'm gonna learn all that I can about money. I got every book I could that taught me about personal finance, and I read it. Every book by Tony Robbins, these books I'm telling you, they're like 500 pages long.
Yeah.
And you could
Which
say,
you can also get at the library for free.
For
which
free.
I go like once a week to the library.
and even if you say you hate reading, right, because that's another excuse that you're gonna use, I'm sorry, that's what it is, you can get audiobooks.
Audiobooks.
So there's really no excuse now. You can find this information somewhere.
Yeah.
I just personally like reading because I can actually take my time with it instead of like, oh, I missed it.
Yeah.
I can spend my time looking at it and see what it actually looks like, because when I look at it from my bank statement or whatever, it's gonna look the same.
Right.
And so I bought all these books and I put the time in reading, and now I know every time I get paid, I don't do 15%. I literally put like 30 to 40% away. Like I keep my budget so low where I live, you know, within my means, but I'm still making a decent amount of money. But that money is, I don't have it. In my
Right.
mind, it's gone. But
And
it's
that's
building.
when people get confused. When you start making more, people start spending more
I do the opposite.
instead of living on the same budget that you're able
Exactly.
to live off of.
You can learn how to really budget your money and make it work for you, so that at future dates you're not stressed. You're not stressed. Okay, if something does happen, guess what? I have this money piled away. I can grab $3,000 from it because I need it right now.
Right.
And versus how much stuff you're gonna buy that you don't need. I'm not spending my money on that anymore.
Right.
And that's why I can start a business now. That's why I can go on vacations anytime I want, because it's just I had the discipline to be like, you know what, this is my money. I worked so hard for it. I'm gonna put it away.
Yeah.
So I have a new clothing line coming out, and that's taking up a lot of my time because it's very detailed. It's not like, hey, here's a hoodie and there's my name. No, it's a complete. We talked about mindset.
Yeah.
The brand's gonna be called Subconscious Threads. And we're still working on a lot of the details of it, but there's going to be pillars that I think are very important, and they're values that I've used my entire life: discipline, work ethic, continuous improvement, passion. And they're going to be symbols for every single one of these different virtues or mentalities, and they're all going to be used to train your mind to start thinking like that from the inside out.
One of my favorite podcasts, I don't know if you do podcasts,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
the Learning Leader Show.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's so many great ones, and
It's so
that's
great.
why I think it's
It's
so
so
important
good.
to like listen to those, but not just listen.
Apply what you're
Apply it. Like listen to. I know some people that listen to podcasts, and then the stuff that they just talked about and were listening to, they do the opposite.
I know. And
It's a
I mean,
waste of
for me,
time.
I can relate because I just started listening to podcasts, and I just started to, really like understand. I now am just understanding like what they even mean.
Yeah.
I'll listen to it and I'll be like, okay, do the X, Y, and Z, and then it won't make sense for months down the line because I haven't been training myself in that way. Like it feels foreign when I have these thoughts. So it's definitely like something that you have to get used to, and you have to like learn how to learn.
Yeah,
It sounds
100%.
crazy,
It's
but
called
yeah.
meta learning.
Right.
This guy Jim Quick, he actually coaches a lot of the smartest people in the world. I've actually been studying him lately, and he's helped me with just one simple thing. It's changed a lot of my life, and it's learning and remembering people's names.
Ooh.
It's such a difficult skill, but honestly, it's
And so
the most important, and
what
nobody
we
tells you that.
Yeah.
And nobody told me until I realized, wow, all these people are coming up to me all the time, and I have no idea what their names are.
Yeah.
And I see them, and I want to know, and I want to talk to them. But when you meet 50 kids and 100 kids, it's hard to remember everyone's name.
Yeah.
So I really try to, I'm not perfect at it, but I'm getting better at it because I'm learning how I learn.
Okay, so amongst all of your learning, do you ever have any fun?
Oh, so...
I'm kidding.
No, it's funny because I actually, I thought about this the other night too. I love what I do. So I don't do anything unless I know I'm gonna enjoy doing it.
So let's say like on your breaks or something, or like on your time where you're like, all right, I've done the dancing, I've done the yoga, I've done the Pilates, I've read something.
Yeah, because I do have a checklist. You're right. So like my days, I do have to-do lists a lot. I
Oh,
wake
that's
up
great.
and I make sure like if it spills over from the day before, I make sure I'm just getting things done.
Yeah.
I like to be with myself or my girlfriend or a few friends, and I just like to go outside in nature, whether it's the beach or a hike, and just go and be and think, and be away from people, and be away from pressure, and be away from anything that I do day to day where the focus is on me.
All right. So, any last words for us?
Yeah, I think that the main thing that I want to finish talking about, or the message I want to get out to people, is something that we kind of take for granted is the idea of time, and we think we have a lot of it. And it's really important to understand that while you have a lot of it, you can waste a lot of it. And you don't want to look back later on your life wasting a big section of time that you could be using to build something great. Whether that's yourself, whether that's a friend's business, whether it's building something with your mom and your parents. Just, if you want to, use your time to create something, because that's what's going to fulfill you the most. And I feel like with my time and realizing what makes me happy in every single individual moment, it always comes back to how I felt during those times of discipline that made me realize it wasn't a waste of time. It was always building for a better future. And when I enjoyed the moment of discipline and understanding that it's okay to be maybe I'm not happy in the moment, but I know next year all of this work is going to lead to exponential happiness. And that comes from not squandering your time. Now you're gonna waste every now and then, but like overall, you know,
Right.
when you keep, you know, it's like your financial
Like
budget.
give yourself that break every
Yes.
once in a while to be like, okay, you didn't use your time as wisely as you could have, but it's okay. Do better tomorrow.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
just realize that. And the
Yeah.
more you realize that, I think that anything that you're wanting to do, you're gonna realize you can do it. It's just finding these key points of information that help you waste less and less of your time.
I love it. I love all of it. I could sit here and talk to you
All day. Literally all day.
but we got things to do.
For
We gotta
sure.
use this time wisely. Thank you so much.
Thank you for
The
having me.
knowledge that you've given me, that you're giving people that are watching. I really hope that you take this man's class, follow him on social media. Everything that he says is something that I take with me. It's not just ranting, it's not just, you know, the typical BS. It's like real things that, you know, I think are so important for us to think about. Tune in next week, Talk About It Tuesday. Lots more to come. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And let's hit the step.
Hit the step.
Woo! Bye guys.